Aïvanhov. Part 2. Questions and Answers. Agape Banger. Let Yourself. October 13, 2020. Towards the end of Cosmic Agape. Well, dear friends, you will be able to come back at your own pace. I will let you come back quietly, before finishing my little anecdote where I was interrupted. Here it is gradually. I feel you coming back here in front of the screen. I was talking about celestial signs. I wanted to give some examples. The first one was I was telling you a long time ago, 10 years ago, when actor lineup, where I was, I asked the participants to go outside. It wasn't night, it was day, it was summer, and to look at the sun, and there were magnificent what is called parheli or sun dog, or parhelion, I believe in English. Well, at this lighthouse of the whale, I asked him to go out with his camera and look at the sun, because at that time head chief was very suspicious, already at that time in relation to the astral, and the best proof I could give him, I asked him to look at the sun, and there was a double arc in the sun. And I don't do that for fun, of course. And the last time was in 2016, in a meeting with brothers and sisters after my intervention. I asked them to go and look in the direction of the setting sun between two mountains, and my face appeared perfectly recognizable in the clouds. And this was no fun, but rather evidence for some. It is in the sense that I told you to look already today. I think that some of you could see ships in the sky, but also colors. So this is not for Europe, it's further north, colors of aurora borealis, colors that have never existed. And I don't do that for fun, of course. And the last time was in 2016, in a meeting with brothers and sisters after my intervention. I asked them to go and look in the direction of the setting sun between two mountains, and my face appeared perfectly recognizable in the clouds. And this was no fun, but rather evidence for some. It is in the sense that I told you to look already today. I think that some of you could see ships in the sky, but also colors. So this is not for Europe, it's further north, colors of aurora borealis, colors that have never existed. This is the visible aspect of Agape, which looks a little like a magenta pink, which is the color of love. All this to tell you that the inner signs, the earthly signs, the celestial signs will multiply to prepare the feast of the event. So from now on, since Bernard has spoken, we do not have much more to tell you. We will have very little opportunity to speak again, because I believe, and I am certain, that you no longer need informers or the so-called masters that were in the past, but you need to live the silence. As I said, the signs will multiply, and the best accompaniment is yourself when you're in silence. So of course, the head chief will speak again from time to time when necessary, but be careful, when the chief head speaks, it will never be what comes from his person. But he is not the only one, you are many to live it, and the whole intergalactic confederation, the whole intelligence of the light can now express itself, not through your thoughts, but through spontaneous words, a little if you like what was named at Pentecost. It is what is called speaking in tongues, which is a gift of the Holy Spirit or of the Holy Spirit. But today many of you are already aware of this, that is to say that during a discussion on any subject, you feel that the words that escape from you are not yours but those of intelligence. The words come out on their own, the sentences are only expressed spontaneously in writing or orally, but it is not you who speak. It is neither a clutter nor channeling, but it is directly related to the activation of what was called the 11th body, which is located in the middle of the upper lip. Many years ago, when these bodies were activated, we said that the last one to be activated was the 11th body, that of the word and silence. Today you are more and more aware of what I have just told you, and I will let Head Chief tomorrow explain this better than I can. I'm now at your disposal if you have any questions to ask me. Christina. Hello dear OMA. Hello. Translator for Christina. Before I do the questions, I will show my immense gratitude for allowing us to be lecture halls again. Dear friend, you're talking far from the microphone. I can't hear you in the translation. The microphone has moved away from where it was. Repeat, please. Translator for Christina. We have come to thank you for being the speakers at this great event. I want you to know that I have already said several times that it is an honor and welcome back to Portugal. I'm going to start with a first question. Let's hear it. Translator. Hello Oma. First of all, thank you for everything. I'm very happy to be able to ask my question. I'm very young, I'm 20 years old, and it's already been 4 years since I've had first-hand perceptions of the natural state several times. Sometimes I even have experiences of vibrations, fire, heat, high-pitched sounds and noises, whistling. However, I know that this is not truth, freedom, and despite that, I don't care. But every time it happens, there's an expectation and a wait, and for a long time the thought that says, when will I finally be free? Translator. I accept these experiences of great joy, silence, openness and simplicity, which don't last long. Why haven't I experienced this change yet? When and how can I finally live Agape permanently? But we have already answered this countless times. Your case is not personal. By simply asking this question, in relation to time or timing, you yourself put distance from permanence. And as head chief explained to you, what must happen, will happen. That's for sure. It's not a question of obstacles or resistance strictly speaking, but more of a problem, I would say, of metabolizing light. Well, I also point out that if there are processes of peace, silence, agape, vibratory and other processes, impatience is a hindrance. And that it also means that there is still a belief somewhere, either in your person, in your history, or in your memories. So my answer is to tell you, stop wanting to know, stop desiring this, look inside yourself, not at the blockages, but at what elements of your character are active. The intelligence of life has, I would say, a different rhythm of penetration for each one. But I also remind you of a phrase that has been used at great length: the first will be last and the last will be first. Until you understand and live that there has never been anyone and that in the end, there are neither first nor last. Remember that the natural state has always been there. There's nothing to conquer. It is much more like it has always been said, an abandonment to the light, an abandonment to what is. But I invite you to reflect, and all those who are living this situation, to observe well within you the balance, if I may say so, between desire and acceptance. Desire will never be acceptance, because desire leads to a projection of consciousness and prevents you from living the present instant. So I invite you to this, like all those who live it at times and who have the painful impression sometimes of returning to the character or to the old ways of functioning. What is the part of acceptance in relation to the desire of? To embrace is not to desire. This is my answer. Translator. Then I'll move on to the next one. Dear OMA. We knew each other in the 80s and we met a few weeks ago in the Apotheose. Our question is this: if our relationship is a sharing of electric chains? Hey. I didn't understand the expression electric chains. Translator. Electric currents, perhaps, electric currents. Oh yes, it's not the same thing. Translator. Yes, yes. Excuse me. Letting go of the mental or the emotional, the form and the consciousness, it leads us to be an electric current and infinite love. That's the question. I didn't understand anything. I heard what you said, but I don't see what the question is. What is she asking? Translator. Basically, she wants to know if letting go of the mental and the emotional, the form and the consciousness, makes it an electric current. Which electric current? I don't see what this electric current is doing here. I don't understand anything. Translator. Releasing the electric current. But what does that mean? I don't understand the expression to let go of the electric current. I'm sorry. Translator. If relationships is an electric current. What? Translator. If relationships is an electric current, letting go of the mental and emotional. Yes, I heard that. Translator. Does it become an electric current of infinite love? But where's the electric current? I don't understand what that means. No, I say no, of course. Agape is the. Translator. Agape is a silence. There's no more current, there's no more circulation, there's no more vibration. So, I don't see what this sister brother calls electric current. Our translator sister is talking with Christina to try to explain the question. I'm sorry. You could say, I don't know. The Portuguese translation is being done and they understand the OMA joke. Laughter. To the electric current. Anyway, it was a play on words. Translator. She says that here the meaning of electric current means that it gives light. Well, I'm sorry, I don't understand better what that question is. In fact, if I'm to understand, she's asking, when you let go of the emotions and the mind, is there an electric current that appears? I didn't understand that. Discussion in Portuguese. Energy, electric current, has nothing to do with light. Just because you turn on the light by turning on the electricity doesn't mean that the energy is valid. But, in any case, the answer is no. When you let go today, if I understood what letting go means. In the meantime, that it means to let the emotions and the mind be, today it is replaced by the great silence, the present instant. But there is no electric current in the present instant. But maybe we are completely wrong in answering this question because I can see what it means to let the emotions and the mind go already. Translator. So let's move on to the next one. Yes, I think that's better. Translator. Having already lived the beginning of what we are, having lived and crossed the black hole, where the character disappeared, becoming nothing and at the same time recognizing himself as a whole, then consciousness reappears again, returning to the theater scene again. But how can you do otherwise? You will be in the theater scene until the end. There's no question of running away from the theater. I think Head Chief told you that. You go up, and then you go down. But you are bearers of the information of time zero. You are not today in the time of the mystics who could stay in their cave in ecstasy. You are participating in the final scene. You have written it. We wrote it. So, what is this strange idea, in many brothers and sisters, once you have lived through the dissolution and the absolute, of wanting to take refuge in it? Assume your humanity. Simplicity is in daily life, in everyday acts, that you're Agape because you still have a vehicle and you carry the good news by your presence in this vehicle. What is this idea of wanting to flee? Be strong. Be present here on the theater stage. This is where you have, in quotation marks, the role of living the truth. That's all you have to do. And the truth is spreading from person to person. Do you think that Agape spoke of a pandemic more than a year ago by chance? The spread is like a virus. And the advantage of this virus is that there is no need to be next to the person. It ignores time and distance. This is how you are real, not by taking refuge in the absolute and in dissolution. Without that, what do? You forget the other parts of yourself. That is, all of creation, the brothers and sisters of this earth and the confederation itself. I know that it is very seductive when you live the truth in the real to want to live it all the time. You will live it permanently when you totally accept to be where you are. Here on this earth. Whatever your age, whatever your situation on all levels. Everything else is just an escape. You are not being asked to act or to carry the good word, but really to be here and now. That is how you'll be at peace and that is how you'll be, how you say, with the pandemic of the laughing fool, oh yes. Translator. Abuelo, a little softer, please. Ah yes. That's how you're going to live with the expression you're told for the Agape reverse virus, the crown virus as they say. You are going to become, as they say, a super contaminator, simply by your presence on Earth. And I have been saying it for many years already, we leave no one in the dream. And I have told you, the nightmare is going to get bigger and bigger to get you out of this dream in every possible way. There's no other way. Cultivate the silence. Be humble. Be simple. Be available for all the events that occur in the day. And that's it. This is how Agape becomes the permanent natural state. And that's it. Translator. OMA, you didn't let me finish the question, there was still a part. Yes. I did it on purpose. I wanted to answer that already. So, I'm listening. Translator. In the Kenline of August 1st, you told us that you were still in our light space in the highest astral and closest to us. I didn't understand that. Translator. In the highest astral closest to us. Yes. Translator. But then you're in the higher astral. No, we are isolated in a special bubble, of course. And that was the question. Translator: yes. So I refer you to what was said during 2010 and 2011. I had explained at length, and it was just after All Saints' Day in 2010, that all the elders were intercepted upon their death, actually at the level of the higher astral, at the ultimate limit of the astral, locked up in our ship of light, protected from everything astral, in order to be able to establish the supramental in you. This began long before we intervened by head chief or others. Do not fixate on this astral. I believe that you are beginning to enter into a form of duality by wanting to denounce the astral at all costs. But you're also the astral. There's nothing to denounce because none of this exists in the end, and when you're in Agape, you no longer ask yourself any questions about the kakras, the astral, the mind and all that. Does someone who is Agape live this kind of thing? Even these kinds of questions obviously showed out. If you're living Agape, this kind of thing seems totally futile and useless to you. But beware, today, in the context of the energies and vibrations that are being lived in this world, the mere fact of talking about these things, of questioning yourself about them, creates a rift in Agape's installation, because you're still thinking between what is true and what is false, between what is right and what is wrong. The real has nothing to do with this. Astral, mental, physical, has no interest for the one who is in Agape. And for those who are not there yet, look at what you're feeding. Where is the good and the bad? Where is the true and the false? But it's all part of the cosmic and planetary lie. The only way to find yourself entirely is to be present. Only present. Everything else is done without you. If you're not there, it is still that you're thinking in relation to Agape. You think you still have to do something. Of course, we encourage you the year before to create Agape groups, resonance groups to multiply Agape. This was accomplished already before by the perpetual love bodhas. There you are in the easiest moment, easy for Agape, more and more complicated for the theater scene. And the simpler you are going to be, the more you are going to accept what is, the more you are going to live Agape. But, please, don't fall into the trap, into the mistake of still wanting to discriminate between what is astral, what is mental, what is lower astral, between entities. Listen to what the Agapans tell you and live it. All this is unreal. How, within what is unreal, can there be true and false, since everything is false? But see it clearly. In this period of hustle and bustle, you can see all that emanates from society, from brothers and sisters. Some are already on a new earth. Others believe that their savior is coming to end the horrors of this world. They tell you about abundance. Well, they're going to surprise the poor at the end of the year, if you go that far. These are still incentives for duality. It's still a manipulation of what is called ablic or altered light. So of course, it is lighter than all the sordid affairs of this world, but it is still an illusion, giving you the impression that you're going to find abundance, a new earth. And by the way, if you look at those who talk to you about a new earth, they find it very hard. They tell you about struggle, about combat, that the struggle has already been won, that the light is won. And why would the light have won? So that you can continue to dream. Be reasonable. Be logical. Take care of your illusory life. Take care of those around you and stop wandering in tomorrow, in the astral or in comparison. I have said and I repeat that the confusion of this world, the chaos of this world will multiply. How long will you be able to hold on to this story of a new earth? Of liberation from the cabal or whatever? That's how we say it in French. I don't know if it exists in your language, and that's exactly what it is. The mirror with the larks. It's a trap. Your lure like a honeypot attracts insects or a bear. It's exciting to follow, but it's part of the same theater. You know, the chief puppet, the one they call Agapè, he's the one who acts on all this. He has created two opposing factions, I would say the dark ones of a dark among the dark ones, who serve the ancient gods of Atlantis, essentially, Moloch, Asmodeus and Lil. Those are the Satanists, the pedophiles, the devourers of children. And on the other side, Agapè has also created the enlightened ones who are fighting right now. And I can well imagine that you would rather believe in what the enlightened ones are saying than follow the Satanist pedophiles. It's certainly lighter. But it's bonnet blank ek blank bonnet. It's a French expression. In the Maghreb, you would be told it's kif kif bourika. Translators laugh. It's the same thing. These are the two sides of the same coin. On one side they use the diabolical, and on the other side they use the symbol. They are very fond of that. They love it. And all those who follow these so-called liberators of Moloch's worshippers will laugh yellow, because they always feed Yadeka with their attention. They are still in the dream. But it doesn't matter, it's all going to be solved by the events that are going to take place there, right now. That's why I said let the dreamers dream, because whatever you dream, it will lead you to the nightmare of waking up. It's inevitable. But of course, you will have to overcome your visions of the future, of New Earth, of Gesera and Sarah. It's all a bunch of hogwash. It's to keep you busy, distract you and keep you from being true. But this is the script you wrote. And it is quite respectable. There's nothing to judge, let alone condemn. But please be lucid. The only way to be lucid is to be in your life, in the dream, totally present and assume what you have written. That is the only way to be. It is the only way to be free. Another question. Translator. When we remember who we are and when the film is finished, what will real life be like, without form, what those call heaven? There's neither heaven nor earth. There's no form and there's no world. There's bliss, that's all. And you know that you're at home there. And today more than ever, I can only answer you and tell you, stop wanting to know afterwards. Be here and now and that's it. The circumstances of your consciousness, of your mind, of your emotions, will lead you to the explosion of all these things. Why do you want to know intellectually what it's like afterwards? It is of no help to you. Instead, read all the testimonies of the incarnate brothers and sisters who are free. That will make you vibrate in the present instant. But it is useless to want to know. You have always been told that the absolute cannot be put into words or even into vibration. Vibration is about the supramental but not about truth. Truth is without form, without energy, without world. It is pure Brahman. The absolute. The ultimate. And here today if I can say, for those who are in that kind of questioning, you are wasting precious time on the dream scene, rather than asking yourself in the heart of yourself, where there is no such questioning. Certainly, you may ask yourself questions about the weather, how you are going to pay your rent or your bills. But asking yourself about everything we have been saying for years, me or so many others from everywhere, is of no use to you. It is a waste of time, a waste of energy and, above all, a loss of lucidity. Love is what you are. Everything else is false. As Biddy used to say, everything else is false. Everything that passes, passes away. And by the way, you are many Agapins wondering how some brothers and sisters, who have literally filled themselves with light, with vibrations, with thousands of hours of our interventions, could still be looking for stories. I repeat firmly, today you only need humility, simplicity, kindness, presence and lucidity. Everything else is a weight. As I said and as head chief told you, you are much more likely to live the truth by looking at nature, a butterfly, a tree, a flower, than to wander in your head with these kinds of questions that will take you away from the truth. The questions actually reflect what you need to understand. For years I have answered your questions about dreams, about anything you wanted. There's no time for questions anymore. Time is for answers. And you're the answer. Stop with the mechanisms of consciousness. It's over. The history of the subconscious, the unconscious, the normal consciousness, the superconsciousness, the Turiya consciousness, all of this has been explained to you in a way, I would say, didactic and pedagogical. But today you don't need all that anymore. You no longer need to know where the chakras are, where the gates are, the stars. Just be present and authentic. I assure you that everything else takes you away. Keep your energies, the crystals, whatever you want to take care of the body, to keep the vehicle in good condition, simply to better absorb the truth. Refocus within yourself. We have been telling you for years to go to nature, it is not for nothing. Agape is everywhere in nature. Remember what we told you 3 years ago, when many of you came into contact with the people of nature. It wasn't to give you experiences or proof of anything, but just to bring you closer to time zero. where there is no one, where there is just beatitude and felicity. How many brothers or sisters who are living it tell you this? It is something that has always been there. It is something of the order of simplicity. And I would even say that in the absolute, you would even say that the stars, the gates and all that, it's a swindle. It's outdated, it's integrated. It was simply a means of ensuring the junction with the body of eternity so that the Paraclete, the Spirit of the Son could fecundate you, find you again. Now that all this has been realized, those who come to Agape today don't even know what a kicker is, what an energy is, let alone a gate and a star. And yet they live Agape. Just go straight to the point and that's it. I told you, keep the energies to heal, if you want. But it won't do you any good even to approach Agape. Agape is a form of surrender, total surrender of everything that makes this world and everything that makes any world. This is the moment you remember. But in order to remember, for many of you, today you have to stop dreaming about tomorrow, to stop dreaming about something other than what is. You are on the wrong track. But there is no mistake. You have written it this way, so that, in a way, you can taste all the parts of the dream. But this ends. The best way to be Agape, and I think Abba told you this, is to resonate with the testimonies of brothers and sisters, each of whom tells you in their own words, their own experience of Agape. Everything else is entertainment. Everything else is unreal. If you accept this, there's no room for belief. There's no more room for any future. If you think that, if you think the opposite, then you're still subject in your consciousness to the illusion of time and space. Are there any more questions? Are we done? Translator. I have two testimonies, two short testimonies. Ah, that's very good. Listen carefully to the testimonies. Translator. It happened in the early afternoon this year. No. It happened at the beginning of this year one afternoon. To get out of my house, I have to cross a small garden that is next to a building where I live. And there were 3 or 4 men playing cards or dominoes on a small table. They were very happy and maybe a little drunk. I greeted them as I continued on my way and one of them shouted in my direction, "White paradise." That's it, that's the testimony. Thank you. Translator. We have another testimony about the cosmic Agape resonance. Thank you, I'm listening. Translator. The heart hit very hard and quickly at the beginning. After a great emptiness of which I remember, where it stayed in the void and doesn't remember anything. And before OMA remembered again, I felt a great warmth throughout my body and I went back very slowly to my mind, to my body and to everything, being present. This phenomenon of great emptiness often happens to me when I am in silence. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about this? Do I want to talk about what? Translator. About this. There's nothing more to say. A testimony is a testimony. What more do you want me to say? I don't have to comment on the testimony, no one does. We have to resonate, in the sense of resonance, not reasons have the head, to print ourselves some, because each testimony of Agape, of each other, that is only a part of ourselves, you have much more chance or possibility to resonate and to be Agape with a testimony of lived experience and with anyone else's speech. Be simple. Testimonies are not to be commented on but to be welcomed. It is not like a question. Testimonies, on the contrary, put you in silence, in communion and in what was called during the year 2011 and 2012, at the level of consciousness, communion, fusion and dissolution, which was at the level of consciousness, I would say the prefiguration or anticipation of what was going to happen during the bulbs of perpetual love and the Agape resonances, in order to accustom the consciousness to live this. And that your own consciousness sees itself as a dead end and a total swindle, as Biddy would say. The pedagogical progression, since 1984, has followed a perfectly written plan. That's all there is to it. There's no room for chance. I think we've all told you that it was a theater scene. Abba added that it was a video game. That's exactly what it is. You can only use the circuits you've written before to recognize yourself. And that's what happens now. In any case, I thank you for these 2 testimonies. Is there anything else? Translator. Yes, one more testimony. So let's hear it. Translator. During the binder, as soon as I came home, my heart, the crown of my heart, expanded and warmed up without burning. In the moments of truth, shared through Jean-Luc, the terrors of my body manifested themselves, feeling and living joy, without object or subject, but through evidence. Long live Agape. I live Agape, and I know when the person is in front of the theater stage and when he or she moves away, gives rise to the truth, and I give thanks to all. But dear sister, we give thanks to you too. Is this the great silence? Translator. For the moment I have no more questions, but for tomorrow there will be more. That's right. So, is the time, which was allotted to us, over or not? Translator. Yes, our time is over. So, dear brothers and sisters, dear friends, I send you all my blessings and especially all my love. And I say to you as always, see you soon. Even though I will speak, in a discreet way, through head chief/Abda, remember what we are telling you. From now on it is the intelligence of the light that speaks much more than the commander of the elders, than pity or fame. There's one. There's only one consciousness that is fragmented and shimmered ad infinitum. And we have identified ourselves by play with each of these infinite fragments. And each of us is all the fragments. It is the principle of the hologram. On these words, I too will make the silence. See you soon from my heart to your heart. Goodbye. Through Jean-Luc Aïvanhov. Less transformations. English Revised Translation, LMF.